Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. This is going to be for Race to Orazca, the Legacy version, and the Green Node. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show off the decks that I would suggest. I'm going to go over the node itself, I'm going to get into deck building, and then I'm going to go over what I chose, right? So for newer players, I'd go ahead and use something like this deck right here. Now, if you have a better Nissa, so if you have got like Nissa Worldwaker or something, by all means, use her instead. But for like brand spanking new, something more like this. Although I recognize that brand spanking new isn't going to have all those cards necessarily. Anyways, I digress. And for players who have basically everything, I'd use something like this here. Definitely go Kiora though, not Sarkhan, not Tamio, Kiora. Now, the objectives. So we need to use a green walker, we need to win the fight, we need to kill 4 or more creatures, and we need to win within 12 rounds. Now this killing 4 or more creatures is really the tricky point with green, because there aren't very many green cards that just outright kill creatures. So it's really nice to be able to splice other colors in. Now, the natural thought is to splice in black, right? And then if you happen to have it from Eldraine, it's really nice to use something like Clackbridge Troll or some kind of card that's going to put creatures out on your opponent's side so that you can kill them. A surprising number of players, when you get to the higher tiers, wind up running creatureless decks just to mess with you. So it's nice to be able to force them to have creatures out. Now, this does say kill 4 or more creatures, and I want to say that they've actually changed this so you can kill your own creatures. You don't have to just kill your opponent's creatures, which is really, really nice. But nonetheless, it's nice to be able to have something that makes creatures, so you don't necessarily have to kill your own. Also, that's nice. Now, the card that I like the best for this is actually Dowsing Dagger. So, Dowsing Dagger is a 4 mana support, so it's really easy to get out. It's going to put 2/0/2 tokens out for your opponent, and then once you kill that and deal damage to your opponent, you then are going to start converting gems to your Planeswalker colors. So, this is really nice because it's going to help you with killing the creatures or with giving you creatures to kill. And then with the gem conversion, that's going to help you with winning the fight within 12 rounds. Furthermore, this node is going to make it so that at the beginning of each player's turn, they convert 3 gems to their Planeswalker colors. So with Lost Veil, which is going to convert 3 gems to your colors twice, and this support, that's going to be converting 9 gems to your colors, which is pretty substantial, honestly. Now, other things that are really good for this node, the blue destroy rares are incredible for this. They actually are the best thing that you can do. So running Imprison in the Moon, which is going to destroy a creature and then replace it with a token, and Turn to Frog, which is also going to kill a creature and replace it with a token. Now, I prefer Imprison in the Moon because it costs a third the mana, and the token has no power, so it's not going to attack you. But nonetheless, it can still be nice to run both of them just so that you don't have to draw all 4 of your Imprisons or all 4 of your Turn to Frogs before you can kill your opponent. So you'll see that in my deck, I'm actually running both of them for that exact reason. Now, let's say that you have like none of that. What should you do? So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into green and type in destroy. So when you type in destroy, this is going to bring up some cards in green that can kill creatures. So Status is a great card for this. It can go ahead, destroy creatures with the flip side, or even if you use the first side, you just give one of your creatures Death Touch and Defender. So it's going to go ahead, block and kill things, and that's going to help you with that objective. If you have more rares at your disposal, things like Assassin's Trophy or Casualties of War are both going to put in some work for you. I am running out of power. Okay, I can do that. So Casualties of War is also going to be destroying creatures, and those are in green. You could run something like the Great Aurora, which is going to give you board wipe, and that's always really nice. If you have it, Death Sprout, I mean, this is like the best removal card. Like, I love this so much. But yeah, if you've got Death Sprout, this is another great choice. But there's actually like surprisingly decent removal within green. Furthermore, what you can do is you can actually just go ahead and type in the keywords that let your creatures block things. So reach is a good one. I'm actually going to go top to bottom here. So if you've got some of the critters that have reach, you can throw these in and they're going to block things and kill them upon blocking. I actually really like another one. So within the Berserker, right, we've got this little common elf right here that's got Death Touch and Berserker. So it's just going to go ahead and ping something down and kill it for sure. So I really like that. It is only a 1/1 body, and that doesn't help you with this winning the fight within 12 rounds. But go ahead, find ways of giving your creatures reach or Berserker, and that's going to help you a lot. For the cards that can give Berserker, Prodigious Growth is great because it also is going to give that trample, and that 7/7 buff is permanent. Whereas if you look at the Origins support, oh, it's not showing Berserker Plate. I must be doing something wrong. That's because I had it as only green. All right. So sorry, Brawler's Plate. This doesn't give trample, so this isn't necessarily gonna help you win within 12 rounds, but it is gonna help you with killing the creatures. So if you don't have Prodigious Growth, Brawler's Plate is a solid alternative. Now for the decks that I'm suggesting, right? So the Nissa 1 deck, if you can use another Nissa, definitely go ahead and do that. The Nissa Worldwaker is great, way better mana gains, so that'll be good for you. Having a monocolor walker here is actually kind of nice, just because it guarantees that the 3 gems that are converted are going to be to your planeswalker's colors, right? So it's just going to convert to green if you're using a monocolor walker. Whereas if you wind up using a dual or a tricolor walker, those gems that are going to get converted are going to get split amongst the walker's other colors. So it's just something to think of as like a tiny bonus for using a mono walker. Now for this deck here, you'll see that I'm running a lot of the things that I just previewed in the like deck building. So things like Status, Death Sprout, and Prodigious Growth. I also went ahead and threw in Ambuscade. This actually is going to cause your first creature to deal damage equal to its power to your opponent's first creature. So it's also going to buff that creature permanently. And so it's kind of nice. It's just sort of like I'm going to whap you and I'm not going to lose a creature for it, which is cool within green. Howling Giant has a pretty solid body for a 16 mana with reach as an uncommon. And it's also going to make you a 4/4 wolf, which is pretty good between the 2 tokens, right? So that's going to give you more things to put Prodigious Growth on. That was pronounced terribly, Prodigious Growth, or to put Status on to go ahead and kill things. But that's going to help you out a bit. We've also got Ocarina Assassin. This is also like I've gone over, solid removal. Now, if you're worried in something like this, like, hey, this definitely doesn't have enough creatures, the thing I'd toss here is Ambuscade. So go back into your creatures if you can. I actually really like Dwynen a lot. Dwynen is one of my favorite cards for newer players, just because at 5/6 with the ability to buff itself, and that buff gem being green, so you're going to be triggering it a whole bunch of times with the support here and the life gain, you're just going to find that this card is going to do a whole bunch of work. So I'm just actually going to go ahead mid-episode and cheat a little bit and put an Origins rare in. There's a lot of really good Origins rares for newer players. Like, while you don't necessarily see me using them in Platinum because they ultimately get outclassed, they are incredible for Bronze and Silver and Gold tier. So absolutely worth having, absolutely worth using. You'll see that I'm running gem conversion. So between Nissa's Pilgrimage and Gingerbread Cabin, we're just trying to get more of those gems converted. And so that's going to let you use Nissa's first ability more, which is also going to convert more gems, but it's going to draw you more cards. And so with having more cards, ideally, you can pump out more prodigious growths onto your creatures, you can get more howling giants down, and so you can go ahead and overrun your opponent within those 12 rounds. Lastly, we've got stuff like Sunset Pyramid. This is just to help you draw some more cards. And then Nissa's Defeat, which is going to destroy supports and also draw you more cards. So the more cards that we draw, the quicker that we're able to get to the baddies and kill the opponent. Now, we'll leave the deck editing. For players who have more at their disposal, I'd go ahead and use a Kiora gem conversion deck. I'd suggest Kiora because with Swirling Waters, you can make it so that you definitely fetch Barl, and Barl's going to let you get into your loop, and then once you get into your loop, you just guaranteed complete the objective, and that's it. You win that turn. So it can take a little bit of time, but in the interest of actually making sure that you get a perfect score, it's really nice to be able to do this. Now, From the Depths is pretty great too, as it's going to let you get those octopus tokens out, which is really, really nice. So let's go into the deck itself. So we've got the main, evil gem converters, Seasons Past, Nissa's Renewal, Rishkar's Expertise, and Hour of Promise. Finale of Devastation is going to be giving Barl haste and buffing him up so that we can definitely get the kill that turn. We've got Dowsing Dagger, which is going to give us this beautiful, sweet creature on the opponent's side, which we're going to take advantage of with Imprison in the Moon and Turn to Frog. Now, an added little cool thing that you can do is if you know that you have a Barl coming up in your hand and you haven't been popping off with Finales of Devastation, so pretty early in your combo, you can actually go ahead and just kill a Barl to get a token down, and then you can let Finale of Devastation buff up those tokens, which is pretty nifty. You can also do this to get rid of Barl really quickly and have him reset in the event that Barl is your first creature and your opponent is playing Prism Array, which is not something that is unexpected on this node. Blue Sun is here to help with card draw, so this is going to also give things mana. It just makes everything smoother. And so by running Barl as your only creature, you're definitely going to be able to get him with Swirling Waters. The one thing that I would consider swapping out, if you did want to swap something out, was I would actually swap out Turn to Frog, and I would replace it with Stitch in Time. This is going to ensure that you can just sort of keep the loop going and going. I don't personally like that route because sometimes you wind up getting so many extra swaps that it just takes forever to end your match, and I don't like that. The pro to doing that is that then you can guarantee use From the Depths, and then you can have your Finale of Devastation give those octopi the haste and rampage over your opponent. But this here, it wins really quickly turn-wise, not necessarily time-wise, but turn-wise, it wins really quickly. You're going to get your objective down pretty darn quickly of killing 4 or more creatures because of our bad boys right here, Turn to Frog and Imprison with a Dowsing Dagger. So you've got pretty decent removal, and you've got a lot of speed for just getting the quick kill. So I hope this helps you get perfect, and I'll see you in the next one.